All right, so we are going to spend today solving rational equations. So now we're going to have a value that we want x to be. Up to this point, we've done addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of expressions. So when we did our answer was still an expression, and we usually included what with that expression? What did we include? Whatever made the denominator 0, because that is x cannot be. All right, so now when we go today, we're going to be solving these, and we want to get one specific value for x, or two specific values for x. So the reason that some of you have this confused look, like Guillermo, is because where is my value or my variable? It's in the denominator. So we're going to talk about how we can get that to be out of the denominator. All right, so if you read this, all this stuff here, it said that you should take the lowest common denominator and multiply it by all of your terms, all of your expressions. Well, what's the denominator here? What's it here? And what is it under 2? 1. So what's the lowest common denominator for 3x and 1? No. No. 3x. That's the lowest common denominator. Because I multiplied all together. It is 3x. Well, if I say it's 3, is that the lowest common denominator? No, because I need an x. If I'd say it's x, is that the lowest common denominator? No, because I need a 3. So it's 3x. Okay, great. So here we go. We're going to multiply every single one of these by 3x. And you're going to see why. Notice, different than what we did yesterday, am I multiplying the denominators by anything? No. So when you worked yesterday with adding and subtracting, we multiplied the top and the bottom by the same thing so that we could change our expression. But in this case, I'm only multiplying the top. All right, so what that's going to do is that's going to end up making 1 with the things in my denominator. What is 3 divided by 3? 1. So that means those 3's are gone. Right, so what's left? 10x. Very good. Equals. In this one, what's going to make 1 with my denominator? X. So what's left in that guy? 12. And finally, on the last one, I'm multiplying the top, but this makes 1, this makes 1, so that is left. All right, and the last one? 6x. And then it becomes algebra 1. All right, so you should isolate your variable to find what x is. So go and do that real quick. All right, x equals 3. Any questions on that one? So you're going to multiply, bless you, just the numerators by the lowest common denominator. The confusing thing, I think, for you guys is that when you think the lowest common denominator, you think it's going to be one of those denominators. But guys, the lowest common denominator is actually all of them mashed up into one thing. All right? So you're thinking, how could that be the lowest common denominator if it's all of it together? But they don't have anything else in common. So if they have nothing in common, the lowest common denominator is to multiply them together. Let's do another example. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, so in my denominators, what do I have? X minus 1 and 6. Do they have anything in common? No. So what's the lowest common denominator? 6 times x minus 1. So I'm going to multiply all of these by 6 and x minus 1. Again, this should be making 1 with things in the denominator. So notice x minus 1 and x minus 1 divide to make 1. So what's left in that, my first expression? Just a 6. Equals. All right, and that one, the x minus 1's go away again to leave you with 6x plus This time the 6's go away, and what's left? Very good. Now, what type of equation is this?
Quadratic.
Very good, Terena. It is a quadratic equation. Why is it a quadratic equation? Because we have, actually no, because we have an exponent of 2. All right, which means, how did we solve these last semester? Factor. And if I want to factor, what should I do before I factor? Very good. Equal to 0 and get everything to one side. So if I set it equal to 0 and move this 6 over, what does it become over there? Negative 6. I've got my x squared. And what about my 6x minus x? So plus 5x. Now we should factor. What are factors of negative 6 that add to positive 5?
X plus 1.
So it actually would be x plus 6 times x minus 1. Those are the factors? Yes? So what makes each of those become 0? All right. And we're finished, right? Those are my answers? Yes, Esmeralda. Multiplied x times each of those. Makes 1. Plug it. So we're actually not done. One of those answers is not an answer. Which one's not an answer? Actually, negative 6 is an answer. 1's not the answer. Why is 1 not an answer? Thanks for that. Because 1 minus 1 would be 0. Can I have 0 on the bottom? No. Thanks for coming, 1, but you're not invited. Plug 1 back in. 1 minus 1 is 0. Can't have 0 in the bottom, Gerardo, so that's not an answer. That was what we call an extraneous solution. So it's an answer, but when you plug it back in, it makes an expression undefined. So it cannot be an answer.